CMMC more rigorous than PCI or other type of frameworks that requires that independent assessment?
We do PCI. We're a level 2 merchant, so we do report and have a QSA come in every year. We're actually just starting our annual assessment cycle right now for PCI, which makes it really interesting to do both PCI and CMMC at the same time.
Got your hands full.
They're both They're both rigorous in different ways, right? PCI says your password is going to be 12 characters, and you are going to change it every 90 days. Whereas CMMC says you need password policy. And so some groups are going to find PCI easier because it says, okay, I have to do this. Let me do this. Whereas CMMC, they're going to have to make decisions on how they want to do that and document it. The documentation requirements on PCI are not quite as strict.
Early on in my career, I worked for G6 Hospitality, which is the corporate office for all of the Motel 6 hotels. And I think they're tier 1 merchant for PCI, millions of credit card transactions per year. And it seemed like their QSA lived at our office. Thought they were an employee, they stayed there. It was just always something PCI related. So from that perspective, and at that level, a tier 1 merchant, it was pretty extensive. But to your point, the documentation requires nowhere near as what CMMC requires. Both were rigorous, but in different ways.
And I think PCI is easier to reduce your scope. There's a lot of options for reducing scope, where CMMC really doesn't have very many.
You're right.
You have to redesign your business processes to reduce your scope. Whereas with PCI, you could just buy a new technology and it's reduced your scope.
And they give guidance too, as far as how to reduce that scope and tokenization and other options like that. Recently, I've been working with clients on getting them ready for ISO audits and SOC 2. Those pale in comparison to the level of rigor that CMMC level 2 is at least proposing. It's significantly more. I just went through an ISO audit and I was like, oh, that was a breeze compared to what the CMMC is going to be.
With great opportunity comes great decisions, right? You have this freedom with CMMC, but now you have to document it and why you did it that way. And PCI 4.0 is bringing that in, with 4.0 and the ability to have the, not the defined controls, but the other option where you basically have a risk assessment and say, we're doing this and here's why. So PCI is starting to allow that. And I think larger organizations that have a very well-run compliance office and are very well-run IT are going to be able to take advantage of that and be able to say, oh, here's how we're protecting it. We're protecting it using CMMC. Yeah,
it should be all interesting how it plays out. For us GRC professionals, there's definitely some job security there.
There is.
No shortage.
I fought for, I think, about a year and a half to get a position under me to help, because up until August, I was the GRC team.
Wow.
So
happy you got some reinforcements now. If you receive value from this episode, I invite you to subscribe and like so that you're the first to know when we release new episodes. Also check out cmmcproof.com to learn more about the arsenal of resources that we provide to equip you to conquer CMMC. We'll see you next time.